Hello everyone and welcome to Discover Joyous Love. This is episode number 13. I am your host, Anita DeFrancesco. And today's topic is to reclaim intimacy and passion, recreate the relationship that you want. Whether you're in a relationship or about to start one or rekindle one, you want to recreate it. You want to build it again from scratch. And the first thing we need to do is, as you read my shirt here, love yourself. That is number one. So coming back to that body temple and that place of softness, that place inside of you that feels secure and safe, where you can go in and love what it is that you are accepting of yourself. Love and like yourself. In order to love someone else, we need to learn how to love ourselves first. So I have a few things I wanted to talk to you about today. And in Tantra wisdom, we teach you how to go in and learn how to rekindle the passion. Now, passion doesn't necessarily mean you're jumping in the bed. Passion exists in and out of the bedroom. It's there. It's learning how to honor and adore and give the attention to your partner that each one of you deserve. But one thing about love, about true love, any kind of love, soulmate love, twin flame love, relationships that are short-term, long-term, they all need work. So it's not just because you meet someone and the chemistry is there, or he's the one, she's the one, and this is my twin flame, which is different than a soulmate, but they're on the same track, and that it's all going to be easy. But it isn't. It requires a lot of work. So the work is up to you to come in and learn how to bring this out into the open. Learn how to be with your partner. Learn how to adjust, to adapt. The work must be done. And it is a constant work in process. It is a constant work in progress. And there's a lot of forgiving and accepting, and there's always going to be the things that you don't trust about your partner. But you certainly, and a lot of time when you lose that passion and intimacy, a lot of the time is because there's a separation or an isolation that starts to a pattern or an old pattern that emerges, uprises, and forms between you. Or maybe you have children, or your work is getting a little bit more intense, and you're just starting to push each other aside or take each other for granted. And so it's those things that we wanted to be able to take the time and come back to. So what I'm going to recommend is a few things. So let me get started here with you. So firstly, reclaiming the passion and the intimacy, recreating the relationship you want. Structure, boundaries, and freedom. Every relationship must have structure, must have boundaries and freedom. You cannot obsess or control your partner. And if you do that, it's not a healthy relationship. There has to be a sense of freedom where the person comes back to the identity of the self. Now, in any structure of a relationship, there are 3 separate relationships going on at any given time or at all times. And the first one is the relationship of the self to the self, the relationship to the other, whoever that other person is, and the meeting point. So each one is a unity of its own. And in the self, this refers to the aspect of yourself. While we're interacting with others, there's the experience of what is occurring inside of you. Excuse me. So whatever is occurring inside of you is the experience. It's the somatic body of what is occurring inside of you when you interact with another human being. The experience inside. And so that is something we need to be aware of. We need to start to listen to that voice or hear those feelings, or at least harness them and cultivate them and understand and have that be your intuition. It is your intuition. There's the constant movement of attention between the places internally. Then you have the self, which is all of you, and that is you solely alone. And then you have the meeting point, is the point where the both of you come together, all inclusive of the self and the other. And this is where you come to meet the connection around you and deliberate and go back and forth between the self, the other, and the meeting point. Now again, when we get back to what the relationship is, this is the structure, but there's the freedom, and that's what the meeting point is, when you're able and having the self to come back to yourself, because you still have an identity, you still have yourself. So a lot of times people get into relationships and they lose their identity. But if you are aware and work with tantric exercises in this way, you will always have your identity, and you will always be able to come back to the self-love. Because regardless of what type of relationship you're in, you're really alone. You live and die alone. What if your partner leaves you? What if your partner passes on? You have to be able to bounce back into who you are. And I don't mean just bounce back psychologically. I mean to own who you are, that independent person. So the meeting point, again, is all-inclusive of all of this. It's the point between you where you meet the aura around the two of you. It's a combination of being aware, present, without judgment, letting go of thoughts. It's interesting because this takes a lot of consciousness to be able to work the structure of a relationship. So in relating to another, we need to be able to develop the ability to move more fluidly. So rather than be rigid and concrete and disagreeing, we need to come more fluidly, not black and white, but looking at the grays within a relationship. So working from that center point. Now, some of the things that you can do to, and of course, this having the self and then the other and the meeting point, there has to be a balance. And eventually a balance will develop. As time goes on, you will see that a balance will start to shape the way your relationship is. The balance will shape the aura, the presence, the consciousness, and the two beings. You're listening to Discover Joyous Love, episode 13. And we're reclaiming passion and intimacy in a relationship. I'm your host, Anita DeFrancesco. So let's see. Love and passion need work, right? You meet your partner in the beginning. There's all of this sex. You're all over each other. And great. And then what? You have all this sex in 2 years that you could have had over the course of 20 years. We'll say 10 years maybe. But what it is that people forget about the courting. They lose that part where they respect and honor. So they just sort of take each other for granted. And this is why we lose intimacy and passion. Getting to know your partner all over again, starting from the beginning, having those small conversations, lighting the fire, the puppy love. So starting from the very, very beginning to getting to know your partner all over again. And actually playing the part. If you feel it's not there, if you want to rekindle, get into that role. In every relationship, one of the most important things is touch. And a lot of time I see that people do not have enough touch. That is one of the components of bringing back intimacy. We have touch in general, just touching, holding hands, erogenous zones. There's a whole study of the erogenous zones. That's when you're in the bedroom. But outside the bedroom, expressing expressing yourself through touch. Sexual expression through touch, hugging, holding hands, kissing, rubbing facial cheeks together. I love doing that, rubbing the facial cheek, like two pets would do, like two animals would do to each other. Another part of bringing back the love and passion is expressing. When tempted to utter a critical word to your partner, so say for a moment, your partner you're the type that always criticizes. You always have this discharging anger that comes up. So in the light of that, instead of expressing an angered moment, find kindness. Finding the kindness that is there. That's where you come back to loving yourself. Because when you love yourself, you're able to tap into the kindness. communicating more effectively, less violent, less nonviolent communication. So, talking to your partner with love, with fluidity, with light, with consciousness, with kindness, just talking normal. I know we sometimes get, riled up, we're charged up, and the least little things can make us angry, or sometimes we have to repeat ourselves, and repeating yourself can trigger you and open that, those dormant areas in you that are just stuck that need expression, that need the voice. And, but take a step back and look at the person you're with. How much do you really honor and love the person? And this is what it's about. This is where the love and the passion and the intimacy is the respect that you have for your partner. And that is how you sustain passion and intimacy over time. Now, for example, working with the sensory perception of the body. So we're moving on from communication. But, for example, feeling the warmth of a cup of coffee that comes over you. So in the moment of judgment, for example, hold a hot cup of tea right now as I'm holding. This is a hot cup of tea. And I'm working with the sensory perception, my somatic body. Right now what I'm feeling is I may be angry, I may be impatient about something, I may be, having anxiety, but I'm holding this warm cup of tea and it's going through my body and I'm feeling warmth. This does not make me want to have a headset of judgment. So what I'm going to ask you to do is work with your sensory perception in objective ways, such as a warm cup or eating hot tea, or whatever it is, something that, or hugging yourself, or after you get a massage, you're feeling warmth and nurtured, and so the judgment subsides, those critical words go away. Okay, let's breathe here. Loving yourself today. That's it, folks. We're loving ourselves. Yes, we are. Now, when was the last time that you both laughed together? That you both had giggles, laughter, just for no reason, even if it is making fun at something. In good light, of course, in good taste, but have you ever laughed? One thing I got to say that I really like about myself is that I laugh, and I just laugh everything off. It's not even about laughing off, it's just an emotion of pleasure that fills the body. So when you have that moment of judgment that you feel like you're going to judge your partner or condescend them, start to laugh. Think about something comical. Tune in to Sebastian Maniscalco. He's a pretty funny guy, comedian, and just take on some laughter. Start to cultivate laughter in your body, and you will see that the hate, which is condescending, judging, all of that will subside over time. It's a way of undoing the trauma. Now, one of the most important things in Tantra wisdom that we do to regain intimacy and passion is eye gazing. A lot of time we don't take enough time to look into our partner's eyes. Take a moment and start to, throughout your day, just look in people's eyes when you speak to them, because the eyes have a sense of armor that we want to undo, because the sexual armor is what's blocking the passion and the intimacy. It means the heart is where your sexual armor is. It's not in the sexual organs, it's in the heart. And the heart is closed down because you're not loving yourself. You're not loving yourself. So instead of showing the madness, the hate, the anger, eye gaze. Look in the eyes. Breathe. Just breathe in your nose and out your mouth. Touch your partner. When your partner seems to be in an angered moment or having anxiety, touch them. Touch the heart. Place your hand here on the heart. These are Contra exercises. You can just touch even just the arm like this. And it's really nourishing the inner child. We have that inner child that always needs to, or cradle your partner. Take your partner and cradle them like a baby. Because that inner child needs consistent nourishment in a relationship, because it will jump out in these relationships, marriages, long-term, whatever. It will jump out because it's connecting to the adult, and it wants to be wholesome, and you're there to make it wholesome by loving yourself. Now, it's easy to have sex, but it is difficult to make love. So if you're having a lot of sex without the intimacy and the passion, then you're not making love. Love requires intimacy and passion, and maybe some words of expression. So that's another topic. Serenity. I want you to create in your home this little serenity altar where you go to take the time out when you're both feeling pressured with life or just feeling overwhelmed with the situation or getting bored with each other. You know, you always need to take out that time and space. Whatever it is, to come together, and this is where the meeting point is, as we said in the beginning, the self, the other, and the meeting point. And when you're at the meeting point is where it's called your Serenity Altar, the space for time out. Namaste. What I like about you. So going through the statements of what I like about you, what I love about you, what I honor about you, and you recite it to each other, back and forth. One speaks and one listens. So it's all about hearing without commenting back, without being on a defense. Just receiving what someone likes about you in words, that is. I like this about you. I love that about you. I honor this and appreciate that in your partner, and then taking it back to yourself. What I like about myself is that I'm honest. What I like about myself is that I respect people. What I like about myself is I get up early every day and go to the gym. So if you don't like, and so we're going back and forth with these statements. So if you'd like to come to see me or attend my Tantra workshops, these are what we do. And then in that meeting point, that sacred divine space where it's sacred without committing desecration in that space, because desecration is going out of the divine, is going out of the divine. So the goal is to keep that divinity with a higher power. Of course, we're not going to be perfect, but we certainly can work toward this, because this is going to increase your love and passion and keeping that relationship sustained without getting bored, with being able to go longer and deeper in love with your partner. It takes practice. It takes breathing and doing different things. What I need more of in the relationship, or what I would like to change in our relationship. So there are some of the statements and questions that we can go back and forth with. Now, another thing is texting. How do you expect to be passionate and intimate when all you're doing is texting, I mean, texting is like so cold, right? Isn't it? Texting. You need to pick up the phone and start to talk. Okay, so less texting, we'll say. You can text, but less. Embracing the intimacy. Being vulnerable. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Love yourself. Allow yourself. The vulnerability opens up the lines of communication that lead to intimacy. So the vulnerability, showing your feelings, showing that you're hurt, letting your ego go, surrender. This will open up the path and lead you to a more intimate sexual life and a more healthy sexual life. And even if you're not having the sex, just the intimacy of connecting to your partner's feelings is all some people need, like myself sometimes. It's not really about the physical sex, because sometimes that's just physical. It's the action, right? How to rekindle this passion. Again, eye gazing is one. Touch, just touch. You can give each other, take out the time to give each other a massage, feather massage, a powder massage. So these are things that you can have a his night, a her night. One gets into, this is Tantra. One takes, you honor and worship your goddess or god while they're taking a nice bath, and you're there to nurture them and guide them through this moment of pleasure. And again, this is not getting into the sexual part. It's just adoring their human being. It's about enlightening and empowering and opening the heart. So, and then breathing, of course, is, so remember to take out those nights to give each other the massage and the bath. But you'll have to contact me and I'll give you how to exactly do this. So, where has all the passion gone? Why is the passion lost? Are you too intellectual? Are you getting too intellectual with texting and technology? Or are you being split from your feeling? So the key is that we want to stay connected to the feeling, right? Connected to the feeling. And the feeling is key. The feeling is key. Vulnerability, opening up to that. Sometimes we have what we call the pursuer and the distancer. And these patterns come where in the relationship, one is more the pursuer, one becomes distant, one isolates. And it's a back and forth, a push and pull. So you somehow have to have this balance of giving and receiving, balance of pursuing each other, balance of distancing yourself from each other, staying connected in the game of push and pull. Sometimes when one grows and the other doesn't, you separate, you isolate. So adapting and adjusting and accepting the growth of your partner. Your partner's doing this or that, and they're growing. Don't be jealous or put a lid on them. And that's what happens. We start to judge them when they start to, we feel like they're escaping us. And there's a sense of insecurity that comes out. But it's, if you honor and cherish and support the growth of your partner, then you grow. And the shift happens. The shift will happen. So the emotional connection and discharging. And again, bringing back the oxytocin levels in the relationship. Holding hands when you're in bed. Finding those Kama Sutra positions such as spooning. And there's many Kama Sutra poses that you can look up. Experimenting. Reshaping things. Kissing more. Using your tongue, your lips. Kissing more deeply with your partner. That's beginning. And hugs. Just sexual expression on the outside of the bedroom. It's not even about sex, folks. Being creative, sexual role-playing. Hey, maybe go out to create a scenario. Like you go to a bar, she's there waiting for you. You kind of create the scenario, and then you walk up to her and pick her up. Yeah, there's many scenarios to create, or even dressing in certain ways, more sexual, or changing the way you dress and look. Sometimes these things just help to keep the passion, because we have to work it. We really do. Then getting to planning the intimacy, right? Like I just said, her night, his night. When you're in the bedroom, do not talk about business. Do not talk about the children. Do not talk about the household things. Just stay connected to the sensual, spiritual exchange of words. You don't want to start getting into saying, oh, I have to do this at work tomorrow, I have to do that, or whatever, the kids need this. Keep all of that conversation out, because that takes away from the intimacy, believe it or not. The bedroom is your sacred space. Experiment with new sex, new sexual ideas, new sexual toys if you like, anything. Just be in the moment together. And as long as you're both in agreement with everything. Varying your sexual play, breaking the routine. Also, making sex a priority in your life, or just the fact of spending time together, not necessarily sex, but make it a priority to spend time with your partner, that we're going to have intimate moments. Like, I'd like to be in your arms tonight, and to watch a movie. So you have to plan this out. You have to make time. Make it a priority. Well, tonight's the night I'm going to be in your arms, where you're going to hold me and we're going to hold each other. And that's it. It's very simple, folks. It's really simple. Just give in. Increase the physical affection. Emotional attunement can help you sustain a deep and meaningful bond. Oh my goodness. Isn't that wonderful? So, on that note, I'm just going to leave you with that it is possible And it can be done to sustain and reclaim and recreate the relationship that you want. Rekindle the flame. Thank you for tuning in to Discover Joyous Love. I have been your host, Anita DeFrancesco. This is episode number 13, Reclaiming the Passion and Intimacy in Your Relationship. TantraWisdom.com, the DonnaGentileStory.com, a true crime book I wrote, which can be found on Amazon. And my Live Free book is on Amazon as well.